So I've logged about a cumulative year in terms of time spent abroad living as a digital nomad or laptop guy, as I've come to refer to myself. Pro number one is it really is cheaper, especially if you're smart about your money. You can afford to splurge a little bit and buy some luxuries, and the quality of life for the money is much higher, at least in the places that I've been, which is Mexico, Thailand, Vietnam, and Philippines. Another big pro that I don't really hear talked about in these videos that I think is huge is the subjective experience of lived time is different. Even though I've only been out of the country for about a year altogether, it feels like about 3 years. It's really hard to believe that it is less than 3 years. I think even in my relatively shut-in mode of travel, which I will get to, the density of experiences that you have while you're abroad and just the sheer blunt force novelty that you experience, even just in your mundane day-to-day, is so high that the density of memories you form is much higher. Another big pro is that it does kind of change how you see the world. I now see myself different. My sense of political context for myself is different. I see myself as belonging to a culture. I see myself as an American. I don't say that with like a great sense of patriotism. It's just a neutral proposition of just, I am born and bred American and my language is American. I mean, you get what I'm saying, like lowercase l, of course I speak English, but my idioms are American. Like my sense of, or like my social protocols are American, my cultural references are American. And it's not something that's necessarily better or worse than being a member of any other culture in the world. But I am conscious of myself belonging to a certain milieu in a way that I wasn't before. I think that that's a really good thing, and I think it's a humbling thing, and the big humbling element, one of them, of being abroad is the language barrier. It changes your relationship to language, or at least it changed mine. It really foregrounds the importance of language, of how incredibly critical just language generally is, being able to communicate with people, and so much you take for granted in your life of just being able to communicate your needs and wants in your everyday to people that you know or people you meet, like in very simple retail scenarios or asking for directions or something. It's made me not only feel that I want to become fluent in other languages, it has made me feel like I need to become fluent in other languages, and it's made me feel embarrassed that I'm not. I've got a little bit of Spanish under my belt. I'm conversational in a pinch, but I'm nowhere near fluent, and that is something that I would like to fix. Another huge pro is just the natural beauty of other parts of the world. And I know that, you know, there's plenty of natural beauty in the United States where I'm from, or surely wherever it is you're watching from. But there's just a novelty factor of being in a place where every little thing is different. The plants are different, the bugs are different, the lizards are different. Maybe you don't care about this stuff as much as I do, but I'm a big bird watching dork, and that stuff's really important to me. And another pro is not feeling as mired down in your material things. And that was a big part of my life. I was a reseller, I still am a reseller of physical goods, but I sold men's clothing at volume, and my apartment was stacks of clothing, bins and bins and bins of clothing, and then eventually boxes and boxes of clothing when I adopted the correct inventory system, and piles and piles and piles of books, plus all my own stuff that I would accumulate just thrifting around and pick up something here and there, and sooner or later you're living inside of a thrift store. It is sometimes nice to have a sort of minimalist lifestyle. I don't feel that I need as much as I did even the first few months of traveling. At this point, my kit for travel is so minimal that it makes me feel like I might be doing something wrong, like I might be missing something. That's sort of the stuff that comes to mind. In terms of cons, the big one is, no surprise, it's the loneliness, it's the aloneness. And when I first got to Mexico, I was in Puerto Vallarta, and I put out a video saying, I think I'd been there for like a few weeks, and I said, oh, like the loneliness thing, it seems overstated. I'm not having any problems, blah, blah. and I feel like I'm on vacation, and maybe it'll hit me eventually, but it hasn't yet. I at least had the self-awareness to say that. I had, of course, not really hit the wall in terms of the loneliness, and I didn't, in fact, for quite a while. It wasn't until the past couple months, maybe 2-3 months, that it really hit me, and it felt like getting punched. It really felt like a hit. I didn't take the loneliness thing seriously enough. One of the reasons I say that is that I didn't know at the time. I have since learned that an acute feeling of loneliness is about as unhealthy for you as smoking and obesity. And if you're stuck in a chronic state of loneliness or just aloneness, it takes a physical toll on you and consequently a mental toll. There is a direct causality between loneliness and depression and anxiety, and I would guess probably chronic pain, which is a big reason why I'm doing this to begin with. So that all just hit me like a bus, and that was largely a consequence of just life circumstances at the time. I had stuff going on that was not so great. I just had a series of kind of negative things happen in my life that separated me a little bit further from, the incidental friends that I was making. And, it was just it made life a little tougher, and I wound up being a little more isolated. I don't really want to get into details. It's kind of personal, but nothing super major or crazy, but I was just a little more withdrawn from the world than I even was when I was in the Philippines and then in Vietnam. And it rushed in, and it was like having the wind stolen out of your lungs. It felt physically different. It felt like I was wearing some lead smock all the time. I wasn't being proactive enough about it. And I guess that if I can offer one note of caution for you, if you're going to end up doing this, is be a lot more proactive about setting those things up, either having people that you know from home come visit you, or go do social stuff if you're not naturally outgoing, as I'm not. If you have this tendency to be sort of withdrawn and to want to spend a lot of time alone, as I do, please learn from my mistake. That is actually extremely bad for your health, and I intend to avoid doing that as much as I possibly can in the future. I also intend to structure in time back home with friends and family as much as I can, or more than I was. I think I'm going to go for shorter jaunts, maybe 2-3 months at a time. I don't want to sound like saccharine or sentimental, but your relationships, your attachments to the people in your life are physiologically necessary. Not that they're not necessary just whatever, interpersonally or emotionally, but your body needs to be in proximity to people who approve of you or give you some kind of positive, reinforcement or whatever. You need those social bonds. Sorry, the lighting is really weird. Let me try to, is that better? Probably not. Another big negative is when bad things do go wrong, if you're alone, it's 10 times harder. And bad stuff did happen, not bad stuff, but negative things did happen. And I had to deal with them on my own. You can you can video call with people, but you are alone in a foreign country, reliant on the help of strangers when you need it. I got COVID, that's one thing that happened to me twice. Stuff like that, just the logistics problems of being alone in a country that has a different infrastructure that oftentimes is not as robust, and you're dealing with a language barrier. And if something medically really wrong happens, then, you have to deal with insurance and all that. Not like medical things going bad in the United States is this great walk in the park. In fact, I think now that I say that, I might prefer to be somewhere like Mexico if I broke an arm. You get the point. Negative thing happens, you are alone with your resources, both monetary and mental and emotional, to deal with it. All the little nitpicky things about whatever, what gear to take, day-to-day stuff, how to deal with cell phones and insurance and, transit and food and all that. You'll figure it out. One important note, one little thing I want to slide in here is travel gear is bullshit. You don't need it. You don't need really expensive stuff. It's laughable, the kind of gear that I've actually gotten away with carrying, how little stuff I really have ended up taking. And that's down from like 50-gallon backpack and a full-size maxed out carry-on roller bag crammed with shit to just a backpack that I actually ended up mailing stuff home from after I was abroad. You don't need anything special. You don't need, I have like an expensive travel backpack. You do not need one, I don't think. You don't need the like bougie, like the dumbass wire, like the cable wallet that's 50 bucks. You don't need the microfiber blanket that's exactly the right dimension, whatever, you know, like, you don't need the boutique travel gear. In fact, it is dumb, and I look at it with scorn now, and I spit on it. I do still think it's worth it. I still am enjoying it. I'm kind of like socially recharging back here at home, and I have another outing planned. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know the neck pain is one of the main driving factors behind me living like this, as I alluded to earlier. It's not fixed. I have made what I think are pretty substantial gains. I've just held out on making videos about it or really posting about it that much because it's been very, very slow or non-existent progress for very long periods of time, and I didn't want to bum anybody out, but I cautiously am optimistic at this point that I may have caught on to something. So I hope to be able to make a video about that, planting my flag in it, and you know, teabagging its corpse. But until then, I do continue to keep traveling and living as I'm living, with some exceptions, because I'm still getting a lot out of it, as I think that you will if you just make more of an effort to not be alone. That's the huge thing. Everything else, other than like your physical safety, is of secondary importance. This is the big thing. I am still reselling. I'm actually having a Whatnot auction in a couple hours, so there will be some more reselling content coming soon. Thanks for watching.